Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about one of these funnier theories you get whenever you discuss any diet, and you discuss why. Look guys, it's a trendy diet. Follow it if you want, that's fine. If it works for you, then follow it, but let's not get too silly about it. And that is this idea that there is some conspiracy to suppress any given diet, in this case ketogenic diets. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. This was originally started by Dr. Atkins. As you guys know, I actually have followed all these different diets over the years, the people who promote them, watch different debates. And there have even been debates online with Dr. Atkins along with multiple other doctors, registered dietitians, even people from the FDA. Back when he was alive, I watched actually a fantastic big debate among about 8 different medical practitioners about nutrition and diets. Everything ranging from ultra high carb vegan diets and vegetarian diets all the way over to ketogenic diets and everything in between. And he proposed in there, you know what? If I could get grants to prove that my diet worked, I would, but no one will pay for the funding. No one wants anything to do with it. And Gary Taubes has espoused the exact same thing, and Gary Taubes isn't even a researcher. He's a writer of books, just like I'm not a researcher, I'm a YouTuber. But I don't jump into talking about what can't get funding. Because the reality is, let's think about this logically for a moment. If ketogenic diets, if there was good funding, a way to actually do independent research that actually showed that they were ideal for health or fat loss, that they were superior to other methods, don't you guys think that there are some multi-billion-dollar industries that would be interested in it? I want people to think about it. Now, people will say things like, well, different businesses will try to prevent funding, or they're only fund stuff that they want, In fact, vegans always claim big dairy and big meat of funding whatever it is that they want to fund. They accuse them all the time. Now, ketogenic diet followers need to realize ketogenic diets are basically 90+% of your calories coming from fatty meat and fatty dairy of some type, whether it's eggs, heavy cream, half and half, big thick slabs of beef, hamburger meat, non-lean poultry, pork, all these things. The fattiest meats you can find. That's what ketogenic diets are. Now, the meat industry would actually do better if these diets were heavily promoted, and they are heavily promoted. Don't you guys think that these major food producers, these commodity producers, would have a vested interest in people following this? They could prove that their products were the healthiest foods to eat. If there was actually viable research there to be done, they would be on top of funding it, wouldn't they? They would make more money off of it. They would make money off of it. It would be in their best interest. And I would suggest these companies do make money off these ketogenic diets. And I'm not anti-business. I am not anti-capitalism, and I'm sure as hell not anti-meat. I grew up on a cattle ranch originally. So I'm not against this. The problem is that the data just isn't there. There's no good studies for them to fund because the studies don't ever find that they work the way that they want. All right? They would be near the top of the list of people ready to fund this stuff. All right? Now, some people say, well, a lot of big grain manufacturers might oppose this because grain-based diets are oftentimes promoted as being ideal. Well, you know what? You know who would have a vested interest in this? How about the corn industry? Because the corn industry gets slammed because of high fructose corn syrup. The scariest carbohydrate that everyone's afraid of, and reasonably so, in excess high fructose corn syrup is dangerous. It's made from corn. So, if they really wanted to push health, don't you think the corn industry would be interested in promoting this? Now, some people would be like, wait, they'd be wanting to promote people eating corn. No. How do you think we get fatty cuts of meat? Do you guys think cows really have 50% of their calories coming from fat when you just eat a cow that's eating a normal diet? Or a pig that's eating a normal diet? Do you really think you could do a ketogenic diet eating their meat as your primary calories? No, you couldn't. We feed them out on excessive amounts of corn to fatten them up. Because unlike humans, bovine and porcine both convert carbohydrates to body fat at a fast rate. They go through de novo lipogenesis at a pretty quick rate. In fact, the calories that you create through fattening these cows and pigs up enough for slaughter, you actually have to expend many times more calories from the corn feeding them than if the same food went directly into creating the same amount of calories in a human. All right? So feeding out these animals is actually great for the corn and grain business, particularly the corn industry. It would be big money for them. It would help them because they could fatten out and promote fattening out animals even more so using their products. They would stand to benefit from ketogenic diets being promoted. These companies, because the animals that are fed their products would be the primary staples of a ketogenic diet, they wouldn't oppose this. They wouldn't have anything negative to say about it. If anything, they might try to promote it because it could show that their products are used for a healthy commodity, part of a healthy diet, their commodity. So all these food manufacturers actually have a vested interest in this, because everyone will try to say, well, all these sugar manufacturers are against it. Sugar manufacturers would be against people eating a balanced diet too, because people who eat a balanced diet of whole grains and lean meat and vegetables don't sit around eating processed sugars either. In fact, the diets promoted by most registered dietitians out there are low in refined sugars. They recommend not adding any or as little as you need, like keeping them in moderation, and moderation can mean zero as well. They recommend you don't add additional sugars to things. So where is this big, insidious, evil conspiracy to suppress ketogenic diets? Do people really think registered dietitians, whose job it is to promote research and health and to get people healthier, do you really think that they would be against ketogenic diets if they were actually the best choice? If they produce superior fat loss and superior health for the majority of people, do you think they would object to them? No. How about medical doctors? Do you think medical doctors would object to them if they actually were backed by the science? No. These people are all interested in creating health. They're interested in creating health. And people could say, well, tons of medical doctors, they thrive on sickness. Well, really, when you look at medical doctors, look at any medical doctors who are out there who really do promote fitness and promote nutrition. Most of them aren't promoting ketogenic diets. I forgot the one doctor I've listed before. I named one before who was all about lifting and clean eating. Gosh, I'll have to look him back up later. I mentioned him by name before because I loved one of his quotes. He's not promoting this. It's very rare to see a medical doctor promoting this, even one who really does promote a healthy lifestyle. And it's because the evidence isn't there that these are the healthiest diets. And again, if you choose to follow a ketogenic diet because it works for you, you have good satiety on it, you're happy on it, you have good energy, you're losing fat on it, hey, that's great. If that works for you and it helps control your appetite and your blood work still looks okay, then by all means carry on. But you need to understand that not everyone who follows a ketogenic diet has pretty blood work. Some people, they get some benefits from the weight loss, but they're still oftentimes not anywhere near ideal health, even after following these diets for years. They don't work for everyone. And they probably are not ideal in the long term for anyone. They really aren't. They're not optimal health diets. They can be useful for fat loss for people who have certain types of issues with carbohydrate addiction, particularly I don't mean all carbs, I'm talking highly refined sugars. People who have a dopamine issue in their brain, okay, great, they can be useful for that. But the idea that there's any sort of conspiracy to suppress it, that there's a government conspiracy, that there's a food industry conspiracy to suppress research into ketogenic diets is just absurd. It's simply not there. If anything, tons of these companies, particularly creators of commodities, would benefit from this research. If the research was actually there to be done and it was viable research, these companies would stand to make money off of it. Even the makers of carbohydrates, of grains, would stand to benefit because more of their products are expended feeding these animals to fatten them up, to get them ketogenic ready as a food source. Because remember, foods that are 60 to 70% fat by calorie animals aren't found in nature near where most of us live. Right? You have to specifically raise animals and feed them tons of grains in a diet that's not normal for them in order to facilitate this, to create the food sources necessary for a ketogenic diet. So these companies actually would stand to benefit from this because people eating it would only use so much of their product up. But if you could feed large amounts of their product to more and more animals and get more people eating fatty cuts of meat because it's healthier, they would make money. So there's a vested financial interest in promoting this. So if the research was there, these companies would actually be putting money into promoting that. But they're not because they know it's not there. You know what? They probably make better money promoting ketogenic diets and the Atkins diet directly, just through advertising and maybe helping foundations that promote that rather than actual research, because the research isn't going to be very good, because thus far the research we have seen and has been done hasn't really shown ketogenic diets to be that fantastic. They're okay, they're nowhere near ideal. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.